to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. 'Cause we're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, wait waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words is where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time.
Good morning for us, Davida. Good evening to you. And
thank you. Good morning.
Unplugged, Unfiltered. I am Brian Clements alongside Bob, and tonight we have it's going to be hard to not say tonight, but today we have an incredible guest on with us. So Davida, why don't you give everyone a little bit of background on who you are and what you're up to, and kind of some of the things that you've done in the past, some of the things that you're currently working on. I know you've got a really incredible story, and it's been incredible to be able to connect with you, but kind of give our audience a little bit of a background on who you are.
Yeah, sounds good. And thanks for having me. This is really exciting to be here. So I'm Davida. I currently lead a startup called Eloo, which is the result of being an entrepreneur for over 15 years now, experienced different things along the journey that made me curious to solve so many problems. So it's always a matter of choosing where to focus.
Yeah.
So every time in the professional path I've taken, I decided to focus on something slightly different. And amazingly, every time it all connected, all the dots.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I started many years ago as a journalist at the news desk, but from there, I've taken the path of becoming an entrepreneur first in the area of impact. I've studied sustainability and then dived into burnout prevention. We founded a company. It was an amazing time when we talked to so many teams, executives about preventing burnout. So it's never the purpose of stepping in and talk about burnout. It's about burnout prevention. It all started when I wrote a book about it, and then it became our mission. But from there, we teamed up, so another team, to start a startup in the worlds of impact, and then connecting companies with training, facilitators, and so on. And from there, my current startup is even about Curated AI or AI agent, which is about giving people the ability to build their own agentic workforce and basically to pursue their mission with some help from AI. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So tell me a little bit about burnout. Is an interesting topic. So you were a journalist. Was there a point where you were burnt out and you were trying to go like, okay, how do I, short of using chemicals, how do I get out of this? Because it's such an interesting topic. Burnout is something everybody talks about in general terms, but it is a real thing, And so how did that become kind of your focus in the beginning?
Yeah, so I was fortunate not to get burnt out, mainly because I knew when to step outside of scenes or work environments that I didn't feel would benefit me. And the way I got to work with this topic was slightly different when we were in the world of driving impact with several, companies and communities and whatnot. I've seen my colleagues, when trying to drive processes towards change, get stressed out and then burnt out. I didn't even know the term back then. I'm talking 2017 or maybe even 2016 it all started. And I had this conversation with a colleague, And we said, well, why do we have to suffer when we try to alleviate suffer for other people? And then it hit me, there must be so many stories of people struggling with this question. So, harnessing my background as a journalist, I thought I'm just going to write an article about it. So I asked some people, would you like to share your burnout or burnout prevention story with me? And stories started pouring at me.
Yeah.
And this is how it became a book focusing on preventing change makers burnout, and then grew to the mission of, I kept thinking it can't be just individuals' responsibility. So even if you work really hard to prevent burnout, to take care of yourself and so on, and tomorrow morning, you are going to the very same system that contributed to your burnout. And this is when we shifted the focus and started working with those systems, institutions and workplaces and local authorities. This is how I got to work with that, basically.
What was there one thing as you were doing your book? Was there one thing that tended to kind of float to the top that was causing burnout in most people? Or was it two or three things combined together, and that was kind of the match that lit the fire? What did you find on it?
Yeah, so it's a series of causes. They don't all have to play together, although, of course, when some of those intersect, then it's even more dominant. The first realization I had that there are so many myths around burnout. So, for example, people think that if they work too many hours, they might burn out. Not true. No, I'm not advocating working, exhausting yourself, but this is not that. This is about, if I work a lot and I'm really aligned with my mission and I'm happy with it, I might not get burnout. However, if I work even normal hours, but I work in a toxic environment without support, or maybe with like micromanagement, I'm not giving agency. My values are not aligned with those of the system. I'm not receiving the resources I need to do the work, etc., etc. These are the main causes of burnout.
Yeah.
And from that, the focus became, well, then if we need to first educate on that, then how can we help people get the support they need to prevent burnout? So it's really about talking about setting boundaries, building supportive, communities and support systems within the workplace, outside of the workplace, finding the balance. I'm not talking about work-life balance. It's the balance between what you care about and how your life actually looks like. There's always a gap between where I want to be and, let's say, my calendar. If the calendar doesn't speak my values and principles, there's something off there. So it's the first place to look at.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's every business, right? They all, it doesn't matter how big of a business you're in or how small of a business it is, I think at some point, if you're not careful, everybody is going to suffer some form of burnout, right? And especially as entrepreneurs, I think that there's times too where if you don't, like Mike and Cass love to say, if you don't pivot, sometimes you get started into something and you're like, okay, this is going to be great. And then it gets really tedious because it's not necessarily your passion. But if you make those pivots inside of being an entrepreneur, I think that can help, prevent some of that burnout.
That's true. And I will add to that one of the most common causes specifically for entrepreneurs burnout is, and it's so unique to this audience, which I consider myself amongst this, is burnout happens when we accidentally correlate failed attempts with our identity. So instead of saying, I failed, what should I do with that? It then accidentally becomes, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And when I step into the mindset of I'm a failure, instead of, working with my past failure, so I'm a failure, then I'm much more prone to be burnt out.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, I've had my business for 40 years, and I would be lying to say there's not moments in those 40 years and I'm going like, what in the world was I thinking when I started this beast? I'm 40 years into it now. I'm going like, wow, this is a great beast to have started. But again, I never really internalized, because we all have failures, right? But because a lot of people say, well, how did you keep going? I didn't internalize the failure. I saw the failure as just a failure. But I didn't internalize it. It may have just been part of my personality, from that standpoint. But I see that a lot in the dealerships, because we work with dealerships, and we've got entrepreneurs that are burnout, and they do internalize it. To your point, it's not a failure. It's I'm a failure. And that is really a big issue with entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And I mean, and we see it every single day. I mean, we have every podcast, we have people who ask about, how do you keep going? How do you, not get just down and go, you know what, I don't want to take the risk anymore. I'm burnt out for taking the risk, because there's a lot of risk when it comes to being an entrepreneur. It's not a simple path. And again, like Cass and Mike, there's a lot of shit that you have to shovel to make it all work. And but burnout is very interesting. And I think kind of one of the questions that I've really wanted to ask ever since we had our first kind of conversation about doing this podcast is so you're moving into the AI agent kind of side of things. From a burnout perspective and an AI perspective, do you see that relieving some burnout in businesses and employees? Do you feel like it's helping?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel it's helping, but at the same time, it's like with every innovation, every advanced solution, you can use it in so many ways. So you can always, again, accidentally go into one of the extremes.
Yeah.
So it's either extremely helpful and you find yourself making more time for what's important for yourself. If AI can now do X amount of tasks for me, and I have more time to spend with my 3 children, great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm suffering from, let's say, FOMO, the fear of missing out, because everyone is doing AI and I'm not keeping up, and then again, I'm the failure, that could be a problem by itself. So it's always a question of how people choose to use technology.
Yeah.
And, in what manner. So AI, I believe, could be highly beneficial, highly helpful, as long as you make it work for you instead of taking over your life.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So kind of tell us a little bit about what you're building right now. So you have your new startup that you're doing. Give us a little bit of a background on that. I know that you guys are creating some AI agents for go-to-market teams. I also did get in trouble from my software developer because I kept calling the AI agents bots. And he goes, no, they're agents. They're not bots. He goes, bots is a very simple term. I said, okay, well,
Yeah.
so
We did get a schooling on that.
yeah, we did learn that.
I mean, it's so confusing, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're basically the same thing, but they're not. I mean,
it's an evolution. It's an evolution.
Yes,
so if
absolutely.
you think about of the term agent, regardless of AI, an agent is someone or something. You give it agency to work or perform tasks on your behalf. Now you can choose if it's fully autonomous, or if you want to review it at some point. So this is, the overall definition of agent.
Yeah.
It can think, it can execute for you, and you need to guide it, just like you're guiding a junior person joining your team. You give it agency, and it's growing over time. And the case for us is that in my previous startup, which was going great, we were bootstrapped, we were growing, but every time you step or going through those growth stages, you keep thinking, well, it's growing, but should I add more people? How do I do it more efficiently? And at the same time, I also felt my hands it's almost like I'm lacking the ability to go as fast as I would like, because I'm dependent on developers, which I love. I love developers and engineers, don't get me wrong, my best friends, my family. But I wanted to do some things by myself, and I just couldn't. You're dependent on another person, you want to move fast. And then AI started growing, meaningfully into everyone's life, not just ours. So I was thinking, well, if developers have their own co-pilots and helpful, tools to help them, for example, write code, I want my agents to help me do go-to-market, like marketing, sales, customer success, growth.
Yeah.
And every time we tried something, it was okay, but not exactly. I have the very, very clear vision of how I want this to be done.
Yeah.
So eventually we decided this is the problem we want to solve. We're going fully in, like 100%. We are starting this company. We took some VC money. We have a wonderful team working smarter than me for sure. So I'm surrounded by amazing people. And we said, let's bring this vision to life. Let's build a platform that when I described it in simple words, like non-technical manner, I just describe it, what is that I need, it will build those go-to-market agents for me, tailored to my workflow, my KPIs, my goals. So I'm, managing this little workforce of AI. As long as I give it good instructions, it will work for me.
That's awesome. And I think that especially like with what we're building, with my software company, we're seeing a lot of people who have previously not been open to having AI come in and be part of their business. I mean, there's a fear there. They go, oh, it's going to create a lack of personal attention to something. It's going to lack this. But I think if it's built right, all it does is it frees you up to actually build better relationships with your customers. It gives you that opportunity where it takes a lot of that mundane work out of, it's out of it, where I can have a better conversation with my customers. I can do this because I'm not drowning in all of these other things that your company's been able to create all these agents to help support them on that.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I fully agree. And I will say something that might not be a popular opinion, and I'm totally fine with that. Is that I know
you'll be perfect on this one.
Yeah, we say a lot of things that are not popular.
So my agenda, I hear many people say AI will replace people, don't hire more humans and whatever. I don't think this is the case, and I don't want this to be the case. For me, AI or agentic workflow or workforce should augment people. Yeah. And you use the perfect word, which is relationship. I don't want AI to replace me when I'm talking to users or customers or my teammate or my investors. I love that part in my job. It's exactly what I love about, building companies. Yeah. The relationship. I don't want AI to do this for me. I do want AI to do everything which is mundane and repetitive and needs to be done at scale. So it becomes a multiplier rather than threatening me to replace me or my employees or, the entire workforce.
Well, and we share that same mentality. I mean, we talk about it all the time I talk about it to some of our users who are looking at buying our software. I know Bob talks about it to a bunch of his customers and his dealers that he's having conversations with. But it's AI it doesn't replace an employee, but it makes an employee, if it's used right, superhuman to an extent. I mean, they've got such an incredible knowledge base behind them if they know how to use it right, and if it's built correctly for them. I mean, I think you do a lot of work with your dealers on ChatGPT and just getting them to understand, what can chat do, but what you're building is taking and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're taking chat and giving it not actually taking ChatGPT, but you're creating something that is like that and giving it very specific jobs, and it's actually able to just automate that workflow without you having to prompt it every single time. Is that correct?
Exactly. So, talking about past experiences. So in my first company and in Kindle, when we worked with those, as I said, companies and management teams around burnout prevention, I knew my field very well, which is burnout and, domain expertise, but I didn't know marketing that well. I had to learn that. So my choices were to, fail not doing marketing, can't grow. Yeah. Or hiring expensive agency. I did it for a while, but it's not always sustainable. Or go and learn from people, which I did, but then it took so much time. Yeah. Now I can literally build my own agent, one to do marketing brief for me, one to do marketing messages as long as it gets to know me, one to execute. So I can literally empower my own work. So putting my strength up front, which is, for example, the domain expertise, while building those agents to fill in the gaps, which I think is amazing for people who want to become entrepreneurs or company owners or whatnot, but are afraid because they are missing some skills or knowledge.
Yeah.
But now it could be, just bridged there.
Yeah. So, so with what you're building and the tools that you're building, do you feel like these are tools that someone who goes, "Hey, I'm ready to jump into being an entrepreneur," are these tools that they should start off with at the beginning? Should they get their feet kind of below them a little bit and kind of start building a foundation? At what point in an entrepreneur's journey? Because we have a lot of people who watch our podcast who are, I'm not sure I'm ready. I don't know if I have the skills. I don't know if I have the talents to, I don't know marketing. I don't know this part. I don't know this part. Is this something that we can say, hey, if you bring this alongside of you, it helps you have those tools. It might not be perfect. You still are going to have to actually learn some basic marketing. You have to learn how to run a business. There's no tool out there that we could give an entrepreneur that instantly makes you a successful entrepreneur. And if there was, then everyone would be an entrepreneur.
Exactly. If there was, take my money and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you want to be a billionaire? Yeah, just sign up. Here's
my money. I'll see you at the beach.
Yes, exactly. But so if we have a someone who's like, yes, I'm deciding I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I have this incredible idea for a business. Is this something where they could reach out to you? Should they reach out to you at the very beginning? Is this kind of you've got your foundation built? Maybe you have some investors if you need investors, or at what point of the stage in the process would you say an entrepreneur would use a product like yours?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't think it has anything to do with funding.
Okay.
There are so many successful businesses running bootstrap and doing amazingly well.
Yeah.
And one can definitely start right from the beginning using a platform like ours. Doesn't have to be ours. Anything that could help, with those tools. I do think, however, it's about the tooling layer. So it does not replace clarity, value proposition, who is your target audience, who is yours, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And some initial even strategy that you will test, of course, and pivot and change. But if you're stepping in with, zero to minimum clarity and half-broken strategy, and you never talk to anyone, and you're hoping the tools will do the work for you, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. And again, this is true for every tool out there, and for every, when people are looking for magic solutions within the tools, I think it could be very frustrating and disappointing. So there's always a learning curve, and there's always exploration, preferably, with people who've done this and with people who will buy your product. This is where you learn from, or your service, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And then the tooling are there to actually execute, but they don't replace. You have clarity, who you are, what you're doing, what you're selling, what's your value proposition.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that and like Bob said, and like you just kind of reiterated is there's no magic tool out there. And that's something that, and I've got, I know friends who've done different things, whether it's through TikTok or something they've seen on, and it's like, okay, well, if you invest $500, then you're guaranteed a drop shipping company, and it's going to make you $10,000 a month. And
if anybody listening, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
If you hear someone who will tell you that they'll make you $10,000 a month, and you just have to buy their $100 a month monthly program, it's a lie. I will tell you.
Run away. Yeah.
Yes, run away. Because not a lot of those people are there. I will say there's some people who can do that and do become successful with that. But with that being said, they have a true entrepreneurial spirit. They're willing to put in the 80 hours a week. They're willing to do all those. But yeah, that's not something we.
So my question: so if I'm a new entrepreneur, how would I engage you? So let's say that I'm starting a company. I've got a basic understanding of a business. So how would I engage you? How would I engage your product?
So once you have your clarity overall about, a company offering, and then you have more clarity plus a strategy or the beginning of a strategy about your go-to-market, the entire motion, right?
Yeah.
Who you're selling to, when, so what is the timeline, what sessions. Then this is the right time to go into the platform, into Eloo. Eloo can also help with building strategy, but this is not really the main focus. The main focus is coming with an idea of mind, what's your go-to-market, and then you start setting up your agents based on how to execute on this strategy. So let's say you're going, I don't know, let's do a sales-led motion. You just build a product or a service and you are selling this to a certain type of companies, this size, this industry. So you want to engage them first, maybe inbound or outbound, doesn't matter, then sales calls, and then retain them.
Yeah.
Insert also post-sales and customer success. So you're thinking about the motion. And I would say, okay, now that I have this basic understanding, I think I need an agent that will help me get the first lead list. Great. Yeah. Now I need an agent that will help me get in touch with them. So, maybe emails, maybe I need an agent that will help me frame my messages for different ICPs. I'm selling to companies, but I have 3 different personas I'm talking to. Yeah. Each one have their own motivation, right? CFO cares about or CEO about efficiency, VP of marketing about growth, end user about ending the day without getting yelled at. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're building an agent that helps you frame the messages. Now another one doing sales battle cards, prepare you for sales calls. Another one to create quick proposals, whatever it is that you need. Yeah. You start to noticing what's being built there to execute on the strategy. And you don't have to build everything at once. It's just about, getting started and see what makes sense to you, what will take something off your plate so you have more time focusing on building a great service or product, talking to people, make them happy, take money, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so for anyone who's listening, who's kind of in that stage and is ready to take that next step, how would they go about connecting with you? So through eloo.com? Is that like, what's
Eloo,
that?
It's eloo.ai. And I'm also pretty available on LinkedIn. So people are welcome to get in touch. But basically eloo.ai. And this is the platform. This is the website. They can get started. They can talk to my team. We love even co-building if needed with our users. We just enjoy it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So kind of, we've talked a little bit about, kind of what you're working on right now, kind of what your background, but when you started Eloo, what were some of your scary kind of points of being an entrepreneur? I mean, it was something new to you. You knew that there was a need for it, right? But had you been part of any type of a AI agent building company? Or was this just kind of like, I see a need, I know that we can do it? I think every entrepreneur that we talk about, even ones who've been successful, a lot of times, they see the need to do, or they see a need for something else. But how did you step away from saying, okay, I'm doing something that's successful and I'm going to try something else and try to build something else? I mean, what was that scary to do to make that step? Or for you, what was that jump into Eloo like, starting that up?
Scary? No, I'm kidding. Of course it was scary. It's always scary.
Yeah.
I can wake up in the morning and my first thought, oh my God, I need to talk to my accountant today, or I need, whatever it is. No, but seriously, those are the solvable parts. The most scary parts for me as the CEO of the company is to make a true impact. So build something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
And, not end up in the place where that company ends.
Yeah.
And keep my employees and even grow my employees to be, happy and successful and them proud of the work. And then we grow as a company. So it becomes like a mission. It's more than the current moment in time.
Yeah.
It was never about a quick win. This is a decision we took, all 3 co-founders. There are 3 of us as the core team, as the co-founders. And probably their fears are different than mine. My CTO just told me today, oh my gosh, I'm stressed. We just released something huge. Let's hope it doesn't break down.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm happy we released it. Even if it breaks down, we just released something. Be proud of yourself. We didn't sleep much the last night. There's so many scary moments in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the real job about being a founder is not to avoid fearful moments, is to handle them and say, we're going to push through anyway. We're going to find a way to do this. We have great supporters, whether it's colleagues, customers, investors, mentors, and it's scary but doable.
Yeah. Well, and mentors, I mean, when it comes to it, and we've talked about this. I mean, we've had, like Cass and Mike were on here. They've become very good mentors of mine. It's surrounding yourself as an entrepreneur, especially as a young entrepreneur, someone, and it might not be age wise, but it's your first. Surrounding yourself with the right entrepreneurs and mentors around you it first off allows you to breathe a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy because you've had people around you who've made those mistakes before. And we've all said it, that if you find an entrepreneur, 90% of them are going to be more than happy to have any type of a conversation and give you any information to prevent you from going down the struggles or falling down the same way that they fell. And I think that's crucial because and it's almost like, I don't want to say it's almost, but it's a lot like having the AI agents that you're building, right? Is you've got someone who knows something and knows how to do it really, really well. It'd be silly not to take their advice or not to allow them to do their work. If Cass and Mike came to me and said, hey, we want to take on this task for you at your company, it'd be silly for me to go, well, no, it's fine. Like, that would be,
when can you be here would be the thing.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I think that it's awesome. And I mean, kind of coming from your background and what made you originally want to be an entrepreneur? I mean, was it from the burnout side of things, going from a journalist? And I think as a journalist, you are an entrepreneur. You are your brand. You create your value in what you write to an extent. Yeah. I mean, you kind of with that, but
yeah, just because I was going to ask that same question. So, as a journalist, were you freelance or did you work for an organization?
I worked for one of the biggest daily newspapers in Israel. At the desk news. We've been through everything, like from the Olympic Games to wars, which is never a great situation, right?
Yeah.
I've learned so much during those years doing that. But for me, at some point, and I loved writing, I loved talking to people, and I loved writing their stories. At some point, however, I wanted to do the things that are newsworthy. So it's almost like I was jealous. I don't know if jealous is the right word, but maybe yes. Yeah. I was envious at doing something which is impactful and not just writing about it. So I loved being a journalist, but I also wanted to do my own things. So
and so what your family? So because that's the big thing. Again, you have to have that, especially if it's the first time you've been an entrepreneur and doing something. Mm-hmm. The reason I ask it freelancing, because again, freelancing is pretty much entrepreneurship. You're looking for somebody to buy your story, so to speak. But you didn't start out that way. So what was your family like? Your parents, were they entrepreneurs? How did no. Are they really disappointed? Are they really disappointed in you that you became an entrepreneur?
Not really. I mean, they were not entrepreneurs, but they were very obviously supportive.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's actually an interesting story. My father is one of my biggest supporters till this day, because he's a very technical person. Mm-hmm. He was a CEO of one of the biggest defense companies. And for him, it was always about innovation. So I remember myself as a child, he was coming to school and showing the class how we build this cool laser system. Great. Yeah. So he was an employee, but still an innovator in mind. Right. So when I told him I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and then a few years later, I'm going to start a startup, he said, this is crazy, but this is great. Yeah. This is great. He was very, very supportive of the idea of creating
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Even if, the business size is big headache, great. At least you get to bring something new to the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it takes that support. I mean, I will say there's a lot of entrepreneurs who don't have that support.
Right.
I think that it's definitely easier when you do have that support. I've had that support system, in my entrepreneurial journey, and I think that it's easier. I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's never easy to be an entrepreneur, but it's easier to be an entrepreneur when your family's not going like, okay, yeah, you're making the worst decision of your life. You should just get a desk job and stay at a desk job for the rest of your life. Like the security that comes with that. I'm a risk taker, and I think all entrepreneurs to an extent go, well, let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? Right. And like you said, as long as you don't see your failures as a personal failure, use it as a learning point, and then create something from that. And I think that a failure becomes a failure when you constantly have the exact same failure and you do not make an attempt.
That would be called stupid.
Yeah.
You keep making you keep having the same failure. You go, I got to try something just a little bit different.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Doing the same thing over and over again is stupid.
Yeah.
If it's working, then you want to keep doing that. But if it's not,
but there's a lot of mindset involved there. There's a lot of, if you're dwelling into, the failures and the mistakes, then you never make progress. But if you go even a little analytical about it, so and this is, by the way, what I did at some point. I literally made a list of all the mistakes I've done in the first business, and that was like half of the page. I like taking, and the second half was how I'm going to reverse it, like 180 degrees. And I think it was very helpful for me to really be honest with myself. What did I do wrong? How should I improve that?
Yeah.
So self-doubt is an issue that everybody has if you are not a psychotic. Even today, you've been obviously successful in what you've done. You still have some self-doubt about yourself?
Oh, yeah. Of course. But I found, and I think this is very personal, by the way, because something different works for everyone. I don't believe in recipes.
Yeah.
For me, what's most helpful is to, when I feel this self-doubt, creeping in on me, I change the scene so I could go for a walk or for, some places I need to, change the scene. And I literally talk to myself, sometimes out loud. I know it sounds weird. I don't care. It's working for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would go and I say something like, you've been in this situation before, or a similar situation. You've handled tough things in military service, in here and there. You've done something to solve other problems. You will figure this out. And the purpose of this self-talk is not to find a solution, is to calm myself down and battle the self-doubt. But again, this is so personal. This is so important for me to, to emphasize the point. It's working for me. For other people, something else might work out. I don't know. Go for a run, talk to a friend, play some music. Yeah. Find your thing, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I think a lot of people think that people that have success still don't have self-doubt. I've been doing my business for 40 years. I was talking to a young man who wants to be a speaker, and I've done a lot of speaking in my life. That's how I built my business. And he goes, is there ever a point where you're not nervous? And I go, no, every time I get on stage, I'm just going, gosh, have I been lucky for the last 40 years? This may be the one that they find the true me, that I really suck at what I do, right? So I tell people, you still have it, but then when you get up and you go, then it just kind of all goes away. But I said, you always have a little bit of doubt in your mind is, can I really do this? Can I do it? And then, like you say, as you have more experiences, you can get past that a lot faster because you just have the experiences to do it. But I think it's something with every entrepreneur. They go, people that are successful, they never have any doubt at all. They doubt themselves all the time.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, it's a myth.
You just work through it.
It's a myth. And I actually think sometimes, when I'm a little rational, I think it's a good signal to have self-doubt, because that means that you are doing something bigger than before, tougher than before, braver than before, and therefore more meaningful. than before. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
if it's easy, fine.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it is, especially in today's environment. First off, I think that it's a lot easier in today's environment with all of the social media and everything like that to create additional self-doubt, because you always see people's posts on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and then again, they started a drop shipping business and now have 3 mega yachts, and you're like, well, I've been working my tail off and I still haven't gotten I still
a rowboat.
Yeah, I still can't afford a rowboat. But I think that, and I think we share the same thing, but is this time and age right now is one of the best times to take that leap and be a founder or an entrepreneur. I mean, what's your take on where we're at right now with everything that's happening? Do you feel like this is a good time for someone who goes, I want to be an entrepreneur? Do you feel like they should is it the best opportunity now? I feel like there's more tools for entrepreneurs than we've ever seen, that are either free or easy to access just to get started. So what's your thoughts on someone going, I want to be an entrepreneur right now?
So there's good news and bad news.
Yeah.
And the bad news is that the market is more crowded. There's more competition, and you hear more about competition now, speaking about social media. So it's easier to get ignored with all the noise.
Yeah.
That's the bad news. On the good news is that it has never been easier to start a company, to move fast, again, whether it's a service or a product, because it's easier to build, it's easier to move forward with all those helpful tools, meaning you can fail fast, learn, iterate, fail again, iterate, and get a very successful idea in under 6 months, whereas before you have to go through, I don't know, maybe 2 years before you have everything fully developed, validated, and so on. So I definitely lean towards there's never been an easier time to be an entrepreneur or start a company. You just need to step into that very open-minded, optimistic, but then also a bit grounded. And no, it's not going to be easy. You will need to find your unique voice, not sound generic, and create something which is meaningful for people. And then your chances are much higher to be successful.
And I mean, I think that's great. I think that's great advice. I mean, one of the things that you said is you have to create your unique voice, right? You cannot be generic in today's society, because if you're generic, like you said, the competition level is so much higher. There's so many more people who are starting businesses or who are going into that entrepreneur. But if you can be unique, if you can be the voice, and if you're not scared to ask the questions, if you're not scared to have the conversations. I mean, I was able to connect with an incredible potential business partner just because I said, know what, I'm going to send the email. What's the worst that happens? And my email wasn't generic by any means. It was a very, I'm trying to kind of catch your attention, but if you don't like it, you don't like it. But creating that uniqueness and then putting that uniqueness out there and actually being vulnerable with that. Some people are gonna tear you apart a little bit because A, they're jealous of what you're doing, or B, they don't want you to be in competition with them because they know that you actually have uniqueness and they built it on a generic. And I'm seeing that with my company, and we're running into some other companies that are not very happy with what we're doing because we're disturbing the market.
Disruptor.
But that, to me, if we're getting attacked a little bit, that's actually a sign that we're doing something right, because they're scared. So, but I think you've got to be unique. You cannot hold yourself back. And it goes back again, that self-doubt is everyone has self-doubt. It's just what you do with that. Are you going to let it define you? Are you going to go out on a walk? Are you going to go change your environment? Talk to yourself. What are you going to do to get out of that? I think that's super crucial.
Well, I think it goes back to you had gone back and documented, these are all the things that I didn't do well here. Okay. And so your point is okay, well, how can I fail forward. Okay, so I learned from this. Now, what's my next step? And I think to your point, with technology where it is today, your point, it used to take 2 years to determine whether you're going to fail permanently or not.
Mhm.
Today, you can do that in a matter of a week, right? But you
Exactly.
continue to fail forward. You can just do it so much faster. And it kind of goes back to the self-doubt things we talked about earlier. But I'm with you. I think AI is the equivalent to the industrial revolution that it went through. I think it's going to have that level of impact on society to where the industrial revolution changed everything. And I think AI is the industrial revolution of our time. It's going to be that big change there. And then how do you deal with it? How do you do it? But opportunities are phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I fully agree. I think it's a great revolution, and I think the beauty about this revolution, it's not just just more tooling. It's about literally giving people the opportunity to reinvent what they
Yes.
could become, which is really exciting.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we get asked questions all the time. And I want to ask you this question because, of course, everyone's like, okay, AI is this great tool, but then everyone's like, okay, AI is going to take over the world and we've seen the movies, we know that, what happens in the movies. What's your take? Because I've been hearing some things where I saw that, I don't know, they have one of the AI agents that they have found is actually lying to their developers about what they do and what they don't know. I mean, from a side of what you're building, and it's like when they ask me that, they go, "How safe?" Well, what we're building in our AI agents is very controlled. It's very this. I mean, do you feel like the AI industry is a overall safe industry, and like in what you're building, right? The agents that you're building, they're not going to come over and take over the world, right? How do you deal with customers who maybe are a little scared of what they've seen in maybe the negative news about it, or what they took from any amount of the movies that have come out about AI kind of taking over? How do you approach a customer and say, this is something that is safe? What's your responses on something like that?
So I don't recall a customer. I've had many conversations around this topic, but it wasn't from customers. It was, in more kind of broader discussions. People are debating, should we even go and learn software development? The answer is yes. With every innovation, there's need for more innovation, right?
Yes.
Now we need to protect data if we don't want AI to. So there's so many other tasks need to be developed by humans. So this is my agenda. But for people, for conversation with customers, I would say always, for what I found is the best approach is to talk about their goals. Their goals and objectives, and maybe even what they're measured on, what they care about to achieve. So when you turn the discussion this way, and they're being reminded about the goals, great.
Yeah.
Now it's a question of I need to be best positioned to achieve this goal.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
how do I create the best combination of putting my human expertise as a human, empathy, listening skills, what's really human, in a combination with what AI could help me to meet that goal? When people are reminded about their goals and targets and what they're measured, whether they define it for themselves or the system defined it for them, they go back to, okay, now we need to work towards achieving those goals. Let's find the best combination of human and AI working together in tandem, rather than fighting for who's going to eat this cake.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I want to ask you is, so if you had one piece of advice that you could give the next generation of founders or entrepreneurs, what would that one, if they go, I need one sentence to encourage me to become a founder or an entrepreneur, what would that one piece of advice or that one sentence, what would you tell them, and why would you tell them that? Maybe it's something that you wish when you first did your first startup that you had heard, and now it's something but if you could share one piece of advice to the next generation of entrepreneurs, what would that be and why?
Absolutely. So I've heard two parts of the question: what encourage them, and what advice will I give. So what I will give as an encouragement is that there are so many problems in this world. Go and fix something.
Yes.
So this is really encouraging to make an impact. In terms of advice, I would say that sometimes people think that for founders, the best is to have the best product skills or sales skills, or the ability to innovate. For me, the best advice is develop your grit. If you have grit, if you develop that determination as a skill, seriously, like train that grit skill, you will overcome probably everything comes your way.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it takes a lot of grit. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs who, they don't understand really how hard it is to get something started. And, you have that self-doubt, and if you don't have that grit to say, you know what, I'm going to stand in here, I'm going to take it, I'm going to work through it, I'm going to figure it out. And then, and you mentioned this too with your co-founders, is you know what you don't know, and you brought in people to surround you with the things that, it's for me, I feel like a great visionary. I can lead a team, but my organizational skills are horrible. And so what did I do? I brought someone along beside me to do that. And I think you said you did the exact same thing, right? I'm really good at this and I'm not good at this, and I'm going to find a team around me. And then you're taking that team and empowering them with your AI agents to make them superhuman employees. And I think that it's really, really exciting to see what you're doing. And I definitely want to connect with you more on that. And as we kind of are wrapping this up, again, before we get done, I want you to tell everyone where they can find it. But if you guys are looking for something like those kind of go-to-market AI agents that Davida and her team are creating, there's going to be a link in the description for on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all of the platforms that we're on. There will be a link in the description to their website. And then if it's okay with you, I would love to link your LinkedIn profile as well. So if they want to connect to you on LinkedIn, I would love to get that. But if you guys are looking for something like that, definitely get in touch. And I've known Davida for a little while now, and you're not going to find a better support and partner when it comes to building what they're building. So I'm super excited.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So kind of as we're wrapping up, Bob, I think that what we've talked about and with all of this is the struggles, the burnout, the self-doubt leads to burnout a lot of times, the taking the failures that have created that have happened and not actually living in those failures, but learning from those failures. Anyone who's on here as an entrepreneur or someone who wants to become an entrepreneur, you've got to constantly learn, constantly pivot. Don't be super hard on yourself. Build that grit that, you are your biggest supporter. You will always be your biggest supporter. But then also understand that, and like Davida was saying, is when you do have that self-doubt, figure out how to work through that. It's a personal journey for every single person. What works for me is not going to work for you, and what works for you is not going to work for Davida. But I think that this has been an incredible podcast, and I truly appreciate you so much coming on here. Our audience is going to gain so much knowledge from this. So any closing words from anybody before we kind of wrap this up? I'm actually, before I do that too, let me check. I have been honestly overly engaged, which is great, but I have not actually been looking to see what any kind of comments that we have. So that is one of my things, but it looks like we have some on TikTok and stuff like that. But anyone who made a comment, especially earlier on, I will go back and make sure that I respond to every single comment that we have. If it is a comment for Davida, I will make sure that she gets those too, and that we get you the proper response. So I appreciate it. Davida, do you have anything else that you want to add or share with our audience tonight?
I mean, it's been a pleasure, and so thank you for having me, and with the audience. Keep fighting for what's important, for what you care for, what you care about.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, thank you guys so much. With that, we are going to unplug. But Davida, it has been incredible having you on, and look forward to continuing this relationship with Unplugged, Unfiltered, and your company. So thank you so much. And for that, you have a good night. We're going to have a good afternoon. And and we will catch everybody next week on Unplugged, Unfiltered. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time.